Hi everybody, Ninjamama here. Ninjamama's got some Ninjamama drama this week with the baby daddy. I've been trying to make this video all weekend and I had all the cute little memes that I do. I had some really good ones and I don't know if I'm doing something wrong or if Windows Movie Maker just sucks. But I find that when I do like the meme videos, Windows Movie Maker takes so long to save the video into the YouTube format, like to convert it and save it. It takes like so long. Even if it's just like a 20-minute clip or something, it can take like over half an hour just to save it into the format. And then it takes more time to upload it into the YouTube channel. So I was having problems with that and I couldn't get it to convert right. It was giving me error messages. So I'm just going to do it this way. And you're probably going to hear background noise and such because I just got back from the grocery and I'm putting stuff away and I have to leave in an hour to go pick up the kids at the Narc's house. So this is what's been going on. Sunday is typically the Narc's night with the kids. Last Sunday, they spent the night. They hadn't started school yet. The first day was this past Thursday. So Monday, I'm at work. My mother texts me at 4:45 and says he still hasn't brought him back. Typically what was happening over the summer is on Monday, he would usually drop him off like in the morning, and if he had like appointments for work, which the NARC usually doesn't go to work on Mondays, period. But sometimes he would pretend like he was going to work and he would drop him off in the morning, or even like at the latest it would be like afternoon, like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, you know. So she was a little concerned, but I didn't have time to contact him. I was trying to wrap things up at work and leave, so I didn't contact him. Well, I ended up getting home at 6. My mom and dad are right next, their house is right next door. So I call, ask her if the kids are there. She says yes, he just brought them home like 20 minutes ago. So they were eating. She said they came in starving, said they hadn't eaten all day. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but my son has repeatedly, since the split and since, well, actually, even when he was in the house, and I was staying with my parents, I was still getting the same complaint, especially from my son, that he hardly keeps any food in the house. Well, some people would say that's not so unusual. Single men, a lot of times, they don't want to cook, so they go out to eat a lot, and they just don't keep a lot of groceries in the house. But, my son's really been complaining about this a lot since he moved into the he's renting a house with a buddy of his. So since he moved, that was in March, my son's really complained a lot about how his dad doesn't keep food in the house. And sometimes he would get hungry while he was staying there because he's a growing boy, he's 12. So he's gonna, but both kids, I mean, they need to eat in between meals sometimes, you know. So the narc would use the excuse that, oh, they eat too much junk food and they, like, when he buys bags of chips, they tear through it too fast and everything's gone in a day. So he's not going to keep the house stocked with junk food. But the problem is, like, he doesn't keep a lot of food, period. So my son comes home after a few minutes. He ate a little something at my mother's house. I was getting ready to go to a parents' night at the school. It was book night to go pick up the kids' books so we could cover them for Thursday. And there were a few fees I had to pay, and we were able to meet their teachers. So I was getting ready to go to that. So I wasn't home for long after work. And my mother was keeping the kids while I went to the thing at the school. I had told the narc the night before, incidentally, about the parents' night if he wanted to go. And he did seem a little bit high when I dropped the kids off on Sunday, so I was a little concerned about that. My suspicion all along has been that he never really quit doing the pills, but I didn't really have proof once we were separated because I couldn't see his bank account, and that's how I caught him before we split up. And before we split, when I asked him about it, he confirmed it. Yes, that's what the money was being spent on. So I couldn't see his bank records, and I couldn't even in the when I was still in the marriage, I couldn't always tell when he was high because a lot of the time he would just take enough to keep himself, I guess, from going into withdrawal, and sometimes I think he would take more, like if he wanted to get the high, but I think a lot of the time he was just taking enough when he started to see that he was becoming dependent on it. He was just taking enough to keep himself from getting sick. So a lot of the time I couldn't even tell. Like I had no idea what was going on for a long time. So Sunday night, he seemed a little stoned when I dropped him off. That kind of bothered me. I found out later on that he was spinning my daughter and dropped her. He used to do this thing where he'd pick her up like by one arm and one leg and like spin around. And I mean, she's a bigger kid now. She's almost as tall as me. She's 9.5. So yeah, I found out he was spinning her. She did ask him to do it, but I think he was probably like pretty high and he didn't realize how high he was, and he was trying to spin her and ended up dropping her. And thank goodness it wasn't a bad injury. She just got like a scrape on her calf, on her shin. She hit, they have like a brick mantle area in their living room in the house that he's running, and she hit her leg on the bricks when he dropped her. Then before I went to the parents' night on Monday night, my son reported to me that his dad had gotten mad at him Sunday night, pushed him into the backyard, and locked him out of the house. And so my son proceeded to start banging on the door for his dad to let him back in, and his dad left him out there for like 5 or 10 minutes and then got aggravated when our son was banging on the door for him to let him back in, and then proceeded to yell at him for banging on the door. So that was one incident. Then my son tells me that his dad slept all day. He slept all day and didn't get up till 2 or 3 o'clock on Monday. I said, did he stay up like really late or something? He said no, he went to bed at like the normal time. It was like 11 or 12 o'clock. And my son, he stayed up later than that because, well, he's 12. So all summer long he's been staying up late and playing his video games and watching TV and whatnot. So he stayed up really late. Like he's been staying up till like 3 o'clock in the morning, stuff like that sometimes. And then he sleeps really late. So, he said he was up late, and he said his dad didn't get up at all in the middle of the night. I asked him, like, did he maybe go to sleep and then wake up for a while and then go back to bed? He said no, he was asleep the whole time before I went to bed. I went to bed, I didn't wake up till 1 o'clock Monday afternoon, and he said Dad was still sleeping when I got up. So then I called his sister into the room, and so I asked her, said, Dad slept all day? She said yes. I said, okay, so you woke up and you're by yourself, his roommate wasn't there? She said, no, I was by myself. So the roommate, I assume, had probably gone into work. I said, okay, are you sure maybe Dad didn't get up for a little while and maybe he was up and then went back to bed? She said, no, he was awake. He was asleep the whole time. I was by myself until my brother got up. So I said, okay. So you didn't eat anything all day? She said, well, I had a waffle for breakfast. I fixed myself an Eggo waffle. She was very specific, too. She said she fixed herself a Nutri-Grain waffle and cooked it in the toaster. And that's all she had to eat all day because there wasn't hardly any food in the house. My son said he saw, like, they had some ramen noodles. He said there was some oatmeal. And he said there was the waffles. So I was pretty concerned about this because if I don't think it's good to leave a 9-year-old unsupervised from the time she gets up. And she's usually up, like, even in the summer, she was usually up by like 8 o'clock, sometimes earlier. Sometimes she was up by like 7:30. You know, at the latest, maybe she would sleep till like 8:30 or 9, like if she stayed up late. But most mornings, she was up by like 7:30. She was usually up before 8. So she was up from that time and was by herself until her brother woke up at like 1. And then he went out and started wandering around the neighborhood looking for Pokemons. And she was but just by herself. And the narc was like dead to the world in a drug-induced coma, basically. His heart could have stopped. He could have been dead in the bed. I mean, who freaking knows? You know, and I'm thinking to myself, well, obviously it's probably not a good idea for him to be driving them anywhere. So I called my attorney. I emailed her first, documented everything in writing in an email, gave her the rundown of what the kids told me, talked to her on the phone. She said, yeah, we can file a motion to have the court order a hair drug test. So she contacted, well, first she said it would be best if you try to discuss it with him first. We know it's not going to go well, but at least it shows that you made the effort, and then I'll contact his attorney. So, of course, I called the narc, of course, recorded the phone conversation. He gave me the runaround. You know how they do. Tried to change the subject, tried to spin it, tried to make it about me. Oh, well, you know what? The kids told me that you never take them anywhere, and yet y'all never do anything on the weekends. Now, 3 weeks ago, I took them to the beach. My parents paid for us to have a condo on the beach, and I took them to the beach. And that was the only vacation they got. But yeah, I don't do anything with them. I paid to join a swim club this summer so they could swim, and you know, I don't do anything with them. So yeah, it's obvious at this point he's just grabbing whatever shit he can pick up and throwing it at the wall and hoping something will stick. And of course, because I know what I know, it's not working. So my attorney contacted his attorney, let them know what the deal is, that I have reason to believe he's under the influence of these pills again, and that I want him drug tested. Oh, also, coincidentally, the same day she contacted his attorney turned over all the financial information that the narc turned in for, because we're starting the community property division part of the divorce. So he turned over like bank statements. Well, I immediately printed those up and started tearing through them. And listen to this. In the last 3 months, every month, he's withdrawn in ATM withdrawals over $3,000 a month. And let me tell you, he doesn't make enough money to be pulling $3,000 a month out of ATMs. Now, granted, I'll even give him $1,000, like, that wasn't spent on drugs. Maybe he used that, like, when he went out with friends. Maybe he went to a bar and had drinks with friends. Maybe he used some of it, you know, one of the times when he was eating out. Maybe he used some of the cash to chip in for groceries or something with his roommate. That's still, I'll even knock off $1,000 for incidentals. That's still $2,000. Like, and I can see it's not going to pay bills. I see where he wrote the check to his roommate for the rent. I see where he paid his car note online. I see transactions at grocery stores where he went to buy groceries, at Walgreens where he goes to buy cigarettes. But no, the same pattern that was going on before I left, the crazy ATM activity, hitting different ATMs, sometimes hitting the same one more than once in the same day, like all that crazy bullshit. And I'm basically telling him, I saw your bank account. So, you know, he knows that I know, but he's still trying to spin it. So, okay, I'm going to cut this one off right now because my phone's not going to let me do a long video. So, I'll continue on in another one. Thanks for listening.